Alright guys, welcome back to my not so humble stream. We're here with the Rising Empires League, hosted by none other than the Rising Empires community, with Team eyesore consisting of Kiljardi here in the orange trunks on the English, and Doomsy in the yellow trunks on the Mongolians. So we've got Genesis Gaming as our opponents today, with Isanic here as the purple trunks French player, and Nyan Racing Cat, Mongolians pick as well, blue trunks. So we've got to play all three series with Genesis down 2-0 already in the series. Can they win back a bit of pride and take back the final game? So we're here just on regular old Dry Arabia, the original and the best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 relics in total, as it's a 2v2. We need to petition Microsoft to make it 10 relics in 2v2. Just double the number of 1v1, I reckon. Nah, but you can't do that. Why the fuck not? So early barracks here for Doomsy. Early barracks here for Nyan. So it'll be Tower Rush versus Tower Rush. Be interested to see how this goes. Nyan deciding he's not going to be able to convince his opponent to not to go for the tower push or kill the villager and not go for the barracks entirely. But Doomsy, if he is going to tower push, he's going to have to bring a full health villager instead, just for safety. So double spear production for both our players, because that Ovu going to give them the stone to be able to do so. Kiljardi's scout actually being sniped there by Nyan, so quite nice for him. He's garrisoning a single villager. Oh, a fair few more than a single villager, I just couldn't see him, they're all fucking hiding there. And one thing Andy actually pointed out to me is how immobile the structures in AoE 4 are. Considering how interactive and, you know, colourful the rest of the game is, structure animations are a little bit of a letdown. So these chickens, the poster boys of said issue, but like even destruction on the buildings honestly seems a little bit worse than it is in AoE 3 and AoE 3DE in particular. Like on that game, man, it looks cool as hell when units are using their fire attack against buildings. The torch attack combined with how much shit just breaks off the building. It's like, you know, don't know if any of you guys are Battlefield players, but back in the day when Bad Company 2 came out, you actually could destroy shit. It was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And same thing in AoE 3 with like building destruction animations. It just looks so sick, so surreal, so immersive. AoE 4 a tad of a step back in that regard, I think. But in other ways, the game is really quite good. Like the yelling on that units do for, you know, particularly scouts seeing opponents or seeing sheep or anything like that. The fact that as you age up, things actually make different audio sounds, as well as get visual improvements as you take their tier improvements. Nice snipe on the Khan there by Doomsy. Yeah, losing that little fella. Well, things haven't yet really started to get going for our English or our French player. So Isanic just finishing up that School of Cav. Council Hall for Kiljardi is now finished. So he's going to start streaming some longbows across, he can start dealing some damage to these spears. Maybe just look at following up with a barracks of his own to, you know, fight back against the incoming knights. And he got a little time. It looks like Team Eyesore is just going to go for it and just really try and punish the Mongol player in particular by the looks of things. So Isanic, able to get that Royal Knight out soon. Just waiting on a little bit more food. Well, actually, he's gone for second town centre first. Which, while it's a really nice boom option, it's actually leaving his teammate a little bit exposed, so Nyan's going to lose his Ovu here. Going to be denied the opportunity to go for second production over here. The Ger being singled out. And that trader of his being picked off. He's going to add all of his production back over here, nice and safe. Just sort of accepting the fate of the Ger. Yeah, with Silver Tree for the Mongols player. And for second TC for the French player, these guys are trying to boom through all this aggression. I don't know how it's going to pan out for him, considering Isanic's only really going to get his first knight out in the field now. I do wonder if they're better off possibly trying to delay or prevent this push entirely first before they really took it up a level with the macro. I mean, Silver Tree, fair enough, but when teammates also going for second town center, be a bit tough. Just need a bit more communication there, fellas, you know. Now with knights heading across the map, things are going to start to get a bit dangerous back at home for Team Eyesore, especially if Isanic's able to really commit to producing them. And for now, Gold Gatherer's safe, Silver Tree's safe, but Nyan can't really afford to make any traders until Team Genesis can kick these guys out of the way of this market line. And Kiljard is persistent here. He wants to get as many villagers and delay as much gather time here from Isanic as possible. All the knights. Isanic back at home now. Hasn't seemingly managed to bring any across the map and deal any good eco damage. And units are just really streaming across the map in one direction at the moment. Looks like Nyan's going to lose another over here, so another 150 wood down the drain. Doomsy mostly just going for archers at the moment. A couple of spears back in production though. So Isanic catching out some of these spears, and it's actually lured them straight towards Nyan in their haste to get out of there, so Doomsy actually going to lose a few more of them. But it looks like Team Eyesore going to be able to get the Ovu. Come on, Nyan, what are you doing? Attack, kill them all, kill them all! There we go. So Doomsy's going to realise his mistake and pull back the spears. And now with a bit more of a cavalry bulk for Isanic here, it'll be a bit scary to be trying to defend with only minimal numbers of spears. Keep all your range safe there. In fact, Nyan, now's the opportunity to get back out on the map, catch some stragglers out, get a bit of value, and buy Isanic the space to get moving with his cavalry. So Nyan just Trying to keep picking apart as much of Doomsy as he possibly can while he's still got the numbers advantage here. But he's got an awful lot of Team Eyesore's composition coming in hot. Mix of spears and bowmen. And Isanic sort of being caught between raiding and backing his teammate up decisions here. I think he probably might have been best off just really going for it and forcing Team Eyesore to have to cover back at home or risk losing an awful lot of eco. Bearing in mind our French player does have 2 TC and our Mongol player can look at eventually restarting this silver tree economy. So Nyan's copped a bit of a beating the last play to get to 1300 score here, but I think if he can get this market eco going behind all this and not throw away too much here, I think it could really work out well for him. It's a nice engagement here for Isanic now. Sitting straight on top of those longbows. Delete a few of them. But most of this archer ball for Nyan is now really thinned out, so he's pressure's on for him to really clear out as many spears as possible, or not actually risking too many of the bowmen to the longer, too many of the archers to the longer range bowmen, and just the bigger archer ball on the other side in general. Fighting in this choke, it'll work out well for Doomsy and Kiljadi, I think. It makes it hard for a proper surround on all these archers. Someone's actually used the scouting falcon there. Looks like Nyan and Isanic forced back once again, and Isanic really hasn't been able to try and get any good raiding off here, because every time he attempts to, he ends up having to try and double back and support his teammate. So Team Genesis, the double boom strat, I don't know if it's really panned out as well as they'd hoped here, because Nyan still hasn't really made any use of that silver tree. He made one trader earlier and it got picked off. He might have even deleted it, to be honest. Ovu going down. One last pair of archers being produced out of that. Yeah, not a huge amount of stone in the bank, so he's made good use of it as much as he really can at this stage. So Isanic actually going to wall up before he goes any further here, but he is already on this other mill just to really reap the benefit of the faster gathering, especially because he's got survival techniques, or as it's called in the other games, hunting dogs. So again, Doomsy and Kiljadi still seemingly having all the pressure their way, with a couple of villages of Isanic's being picked off, and they're going to want to keep doing this considering they're both only on one town center, and Isanic's on 2. Nyan, again, only on the 1, but he can always just revive this trader eco at some point here. Nice timing of Doomsy's behalf here to pick off a couple of villages. We get 3 in total there while that tower's going up. Kiljadi now singling out all these boar gathering villagers who've actually ended up walling themselves in, because there was no gate thrown down on that wall just to save a bit of resources. Wasn't quite expecting that, I don't think. Man-at-Arms in the mix here for Kiljadi, so these guys can be a wonderful tank. And the archers from Nyan have really got to pay attention to their targets now. Don't know if that's actually deliberate for Kiljadi. Oh no, he is. Yeah, he's just going to keep making Man-at-Arms. So while they don't have all the great stats that the spears do, all the great cost effectiveness that the spears do against the knights, they still, are just a really nice tank in general, because they really put the pressure on enemy range to not focus them down and really pick between spears and archer targets. It's a bit like having knights in your composition, really. Except they're slower, so it's a bit harder to get any raiding value off and peel off a couple of them. But I think that's probably what's letting Genesis Gaming down at the moment, is that as much as Isanic is macroing well through this with his 2 TC and helping cover for Nyan, because they're both sort of exposed early, particularly in a matchup like this with, you know, English plus either Mongols or French, just with the amount of early go forward that they're going to have. Bearing in mind, we do have Mongols and French for Genesis, and because they've gone for the 2 TC route for the French player, the Mongol player not being able to go for an early spear and tower contain against the opponent really has put them on the back foot. It's about all this game. Now, Isanic even losing a couple of cavalry to the big massive range, not wanting to engage because there is a reasonable number of spears still in the mix there. So very patient from Kiljadi to not have them overextended either. So the archers of Nyan not able to get the value that they're looking for, and on top of that, they are outranged by the longbows of Kiljadi here. Isanic now trying to get involved as best he can, but again, those spears are really keeping him out of the fight at the moment. Nyan going to lose that range. Fighting on top of his other ranges is going to be really annoying. He's going to have to start replacing them or shifting them, packing them up, getting them the hell out of there. Doomsy really going for it now. Wants to deny as much wood here as possible. Nyan having to try and get a tower out. Kiljadi's going to have to come forward to try and support him, and he's using his spears at the moment to try and get a ram out, so he's going to have to cancel finishing that off, while Doomsy getting right tight in between the buildings there. Makes it very difficult for Isanic to get the sort of surround that he's looking for, so good awareness and use of your opponent's base layout against him. Well, Nyan actually moved the TC over to try and provide a bit more covering fire, prevent this ram from going up, because we'll be able to pick off those archers that are constructing it at the moment. Even with minimal melee left for Doomsy and Kiljadi at the moment, the night count for Isanic is really struggling. A lot of idle gatherers here for Nyan and Isanic, as they've got to evacuate the premises. Most of the archer ball being thinned out now though. But there's a lot of horsemen now to help just tank and be a real pest for these knights. There's still a ram now in play for Kiljadi. Most of this force has been cleaned up, seemingly. Kiljadi taking age 3 now. He's going for the King's Palace just to get that double village production going. Always quite nice. Another military structure has gone down there for Nyan. Isanic seems to be in a reasonable spot economically though, considering all this, but Nyan, it's really tough for him at the moment, and if he wants to catch up, he might even need to start mashing those traders. But rams for each of our eyesore players here. Come on, you can fit horticulture in, just do it, man, it's fucking cheap. And you've got a big food eco there. 40 villages on food and no horticulture. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Well, I shouldn't make fun of him, because right now, up 2-0 in this series, and at this stage it looks like they might be able to close out the third game. Team Eyesore, some wonderful aggression, still streaming units across the map. The big parade push, it's been going on for pretty much the past 15 minutes or 10 minutes. If they can get this town center of Nyans, it could be all over here. So be eager to try and hold on. He might even have to use some villagers here to try and take out the Rams. This town center is just getting lower and lower at the moment. GG. Nyan tapping out. Sanic not far behind. And it looks like Team eyesore takes the series 3-0.